Hello and welcome back to Building Resilience, Love, Learn, Lead, or Let Go. And I have my screen open. And this is the sound you heard. It was actually me lagging behind. I had to close it first, but welcome back. It's good to have you back and have you come back with some more curiosity, some more thirst for knowledge, and for putting the practice together, right? So today, we're going to talk about fear. I'm Nagam, and I have experienced fear in the past. Fear of a lot of things, specifically, fear of attempting something new. There are a lot of things holding me back. There's a lot of different things, different excuses, and reasons that I have made up for myself not to attempt something. So, today, we're diving in deep into that challenge we all face, fear. It has the power to hold us back. But the good news is, with resilience and the right mindset, we can transform it into an opportunity for growth and strength. All right, who's ready here? So, first, I want you to think of a fear that you have. Go back and think of a time where you have experienced something, a fear that held you back from attempting something new, going after something that you really wanted, but you have this, fear inside of you that, well, you felt like that you're inadequate or you lacked something, and that kept you from actually pursuing what you wanted. So, what is that fear that you felt? Fear has the power to hold us back, right? But we're going to talk about what can we do in this episode. We're going to explore some ways to overcome that fear and embrace a more courageous way of living. Um, this is not something that can happen overnight, and it's not something that just disappears. It is something that you need to work on, right? When I started, I said in this episode that I have experienced fear and it has held me back before. And that is true, but I couldn't actually get rid of it that easily. There are some things still in life that, knowing what I know now, are still holding me back. I still have some fear, and some of these things. However, I have let go of the majority of the feeling of fear, and I feel so much more courageous to make an attempt at a dream that I have. Um, Go ahead and create a podcast and talk to people and teach them. That's one of the things that I thought, well, I can't do that. I have, I have to have this, I have to have that kind of equipment, or this kind of knowledge, or whatever. And there's so many things that it I just made these excuses for myself not to pursue, when I could have, you know got started. So that's what we're going to talk about. And of course, in this podcast, we talk about everything within the framework of love, learn, and lead, or let go. So we start, as always, with love, which is self-compassion. So what do we do in that way? What does that mean when I ask you to think about it in this framework? First of all, let's think about what fear is. Fear often takes root when we are too hard on ourselves, when we allow self doubt to take over. A lot of times, think about it as way back as grade school. We always have something to fear. Afraid of the teacher. We're afraid our parents may get upset. We're afraid, the weather will be really bad. We can't go play outside. There's so many different things, right? And then it grows with us. And it grows with us. And the self-doubt grows with us if we don't do anything about it. We don't actually tackle it head on. and we become adults and we go to college and we have fear of talking to other people, fear of socializing, of making friends, fear of public speaking. Come on, name your fears. What other fears do you have? I'll tell you, I'll be honest, and I'll tell you that I have, well, have had fear of public speaking in the past. And I let that fear stop me from doing a lot of things. It wasn't just a feeling inside. It is one of those things, and think with me, have you had this feeling before where I was afraid to not just get up on stage. I'm not talking about get up on stage and actually um talk to other people and do a presentation of some kind. I am talking about getting into a conversation with other individuals, going into an event and you know uh starting a conversation with people who are already there, right? um and it was to the point that when I did want to do that, I felt it physically in my body where my heartbeats grew faster. I was shaking and trembling, and I couldn't think. My brain was foggy. It just kept me from actually thinking straight, and that's what fear does, right? And it's and it and when you're excited about something, right, you also have kind of similar feelings, but fear has that same thing. It has that same effect, and it what it does is it keeps you from trying something new, and it starts creating self-doubt. Can I actually do this? Am I able to actually do this? What if I mess up? What if I say the wrong thing? How many of you have actually done this before where you have experienced this and you created your own self-doubt and it grew into an imposter syndrome where you thought, "Ooh, I there's no way I could do this. I am so out of depth when it comes to this topic." So, what we do is we create this environment, we live in it, and then it becomes really hard to get out of. It becomes this really high, thick wall where it's 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 not that easy to get out of, right? This is why I'm asking you to think about it from within the love, learn, and lead or let go framework. Let's go ahead and get started. First, what does that mean within love? It means self-compassion. We have to treat ourselves with kindness. We have to acknowledge our struggles. Yes, I am afraid of public speaking. But think about it in a more logical sense to where what can I do about it instead? Instead of saying, I'm afraid of public speaking, I'm never going to try it again or do it again. I'll tell you something. I was afraid of public speaking. I was afraid to get up on stage to the point where back in when I was a teacher, I was a third grade teacher. I worked with my students for months on a presentation, on a performance rather. And when it was time to go up on stage, I got them up on the stage, but when I looked at the audience and saw how many people were in attendance and the vast size of the auditorium or the gym that we were in, that's when the fear started. That's when the heartbeats and the self-doubt thoughts and all of that started up with me, and I panicked big time. And I looked at my students and I told them to just go ahead and perform when the music plays. And I went hid behind the curtains, and they didn't do as well because they didn't have their mentor, their supporter, the person who was working with them the whole time to look at. And after that, after this happened with me, I thought about it and I reflected a lot. And I said to myself, this is the last time I'm going to allow myself to do something like that, because that fear didn't only fail me, it failed my students. And I'm not going to allow it to do that anymore. And what I did was I started working on my skill as a public speaker. which took me into a lot of different directions. I started forcing myself to get up more on stage, and I actually got over it. Now, to tell you the truth, after all these years, a decade or so of work, do you think that when I get up on stage, I have absolutely no fear, zero fear? No, that is impossible. I still have the fear. I still have the nervousness. However, I have the strategy that I can actually talk myself back into confidence, back into being able to perform. And so, why am I telling you the story? I'm telling you because it is 100% possible for anyone to get over their fear, to work on the skill that they want to work on, and be able to succeed in it. So, we have to treat ourselves with kindness and compassion. We have to give ourselves grace and create an inner strength needed to face the fear. And if we're constantly telling ourselves that we cannot do the thing we want to do, we hold ourselves back and we don't even give ourselves the chance to even try. Self compassion allows us to say, I am doing the best I can. And that is not weakness, as long as you are trying, right? It reminds us that the fear, it's a natural response. It's not a weakness. It just tells us, oh, I don't have all the skills I need in this area. Let me work on them. That's the right response. It doesn't tell us I'm terrible at this. I can't, what the heck, what am I doing? Trying this, let me get out of this thing. No, that is not the right way to look at it. The right way is recognize the feeling that you're feeling without judgment and offer yourself some encouragement, and then recognize and acknowledge that this fear is telling you that you have some areas of work of improvement that you need to start working on. That's the way to use this kind of fear. This shift in mindset helps loosen that grip that fear has over you, and allows you to move forward with more confidence. And the more you do this, the more consistent you are, the more confident you grow. Okay, so self-compassion. Next, remember, it's love, learn, lead, or let go. Next is learn. You have to be kind to yourself, but you also have to have the right tools and strategies to help yourself. And you have to, so here's what I'm not telling you. Here is what I'm not telling you. Ready for this? I'm not telling you to go tackle everything and anything and without having the right tools, without learning about it. I'm not telling you to say, you know what, I can go ahead and co-pilot an airplane right now without actually learning about it. That is dangerous. I know that's an extreme thing, but you can't say that you can right now, and let's say, go teach a college course on um, engineering if you're if you're into let's say medicine or something else, right? You have to, has to be within reason. So, and then that's a logical thing. You have to, common sense, we have to always think about that, right? So that's what I'm not telling you to do. I do want you, however, to build confidence and also build the competence to go along with it. And how do you build competence? By learning. You always have to continue your learning journey. There is something else that I got to caution you with. I don't want you to stop from doing something until you have mastered, the thing or got the degree, because that's placing again a wall between you and the thing you want to do. So I also used to be that person. I had this fear of, well, I had the imposter syndrome. I'll tell you that. This fear of, oh, I can't step into this role until I have this degree and have this many years into this job that I'm currently in to be able to say that I'm competent in it, where I had a lot already in my plate and I could have stepped into the role, and that fear held me back. Now, in this mentality and mindset, you know what I have learned that I wish I had learned back when I was, you know, much younger? That stepping into a new role, that's when you actually learn. But you never stop learning about the new role. You experiment, you experience it, you practice it, but you continue learning. You do the same thing. You do those two things together simultaneously. You don't wait until you learn, and then you try, because learning about it by just reading or hearing from someone who's done this before you, or you know, listening to a podcast, watching you know, some videos on educational videos on it, that by itself is not enough. And I would not call it learning, because learning without practice is not learning. Learning without practice is not learning. You have to actually practice everything that you are taking in, to put it into work and see how it works. And make a mistake, collect that data that you made, the mistakes that you made, that's data, and use it to grow from. Try again, tweak it, try again. So don't wait until you've got this degree or this amount of experience or this much knowledge. Learn and practice, learn and practice, learn and practice. Fear grows stronger when left unexamined. So you have to put it to work. You have to understand that this fear is a sign that, yes, there's some things that you need to learn and work on, to work on them. One of the best ways to weaken its hold, fear's hold on you, is to learn from it, to challenge the thoughts and beliefs behind it. Ask yourself, what am I truly afraid of? Is it failure? Is it judgment? Is it the unknown? What are you afraid of? So, um by exploring the roots of your fear, you gain much needed clarity and perspective. Often, when we break it down, we realize that our fears are based on assumptions, really, not reality, most of the time. This is why I invite you today to take the fear, put it in front of you, look it in the face, and question, is it actual thing that you're afraid of, or is it an assumption that you have made? Is it something that you can practice and become better at? Great exercise to reframe your fear is by asking, what is the best that could happen? We always think about the worst. That's why I'm asking you to shift your mindset and ask, what is the best that could happen? And don't stop there. I want you to envision it happening. It helps you to take back control and make your fear work for you, not against you. Understanding fear lessens its power and its hold against you. Okay, ready for the next one? Lead. We are great at learning for ourselves, but I always invite you to lead others with your learning. We grow better as a community. And so leading with courage, leading with not perfection. I'm not asking you to be a perfectionist. That perfection actually is a fear in itself. You're the reason why people are perfectionists or become perfectionists is because they're afraid that what they're doing isn't perfect. It's not ready. It's not presentable for others. They will have judgment from others if they present it the way it is. And so that is a huge fear in itself. And perfection is not something that you should be seeking, right? It's action. Is that's what you want, is action. Leadership isn't about having no fear. You know, we as leaders have fear, a lot of different fears, but they also have the tools to tackle it. So leadership is about moving forward despite having the fear. Leading with courage means taking small but intentional steps that push us out of our comfort zone. Courage can look like, you know, speaking up when you're uncomfortable, I used to have the worst time ever in school raising my hand, even if I knew the answer. You know why? Here's what was on in my head. I thought, "Oh, somebody else already said that or is gonna say that, I'm sure, in a better way than I could ever say it." Or, "You know what? I don't think what I'm thinking right now is 100% correct or accurate, so I'm not gonna share it with the class." Or, "You know what? My language isn't really perfect." That's back when I was learning the English language. "I don't think I wanna say that. I don't want people to laugh at me." And there were so many different things that went on up here that prevented me from actually sharing. So, courage could look like speaking up when it's uncomfortable. And again, I wish I knew all of this back when I was still, in the learning process. But there is nothing stopping me now either. Courage could look like trying something new or even asking for help. How many of us actually are afraid of asking for help? So, asking for help is courageous. But the key here is consistency. Every time you take action, you build resilience and you build confidence. Remember, you don't have to have it all figured out. I don't. It's actually kind of exciting. You just need the willingness to try and the perseverance to keep going. What is one fear that is holding you back? How did you overcome it? Um, Small steps build lasting courage. We often are afraid of our big goals because they are big. And we look at them and we look at the enormity of the goal, and we start panicking because we don't know where to start and how to tackle them, right? But when we start with small steps, doable, actionable things that are within our control, then it becomes less of a fear and more of something that is we're able to control. And it builds our courage slowly. All right. Finally, let go, releasing fear to move forward. Sometimes holding on to fear does more harm than facing it. I want to go back and mention that this is not something that you could do overnight. It is definitely not something that you can practice in a day and all of a sudden you're fearless. You could do everything and anything you can dream of. This takes time, but you have to be consistent with it. So, how do you let go of fear? What does that mean? It means accepting that uncertainty is a part of life and choosing to trust yourself anyway. We don't know everything. We don't have a magic ball to predict the future or know what's going to happen in a day or two or a year from now. And it's just, this is life. That's uncertainty. And you have to know that this is part of life and part of you. And there's going to be things that are out of your control and you can't really do anything about it. Just being able to have this acceptance helps you step away from that fear and release the need for perfection and embrace the process. Trust the process. I had a college professor who used to say that. Trust the process. We come to her with um, all kinds of complaints about how hard the coursework is and how there's so much demand and so many things that we are we're unable to control, or so many things. And she used to tell us, trust the process. And I didn't know what that meant at the time. What's she talking about? But now I do. I look back and I say, "Oh, yeah, there is a process, and it works." And what makes the process works is that consistency. If you're not consistent when something is not going to work, even when the doctors give you medication, what do they tell you? When they give you that antibiotics for your infection, what do they tell you? Even if you start feeling better, continue with the medication, right? So you have to be consistent with something. You have to go through the full route for it to start working. When you start learning another language, for example. You don't stop. You know what? Guess what? I came to the United States when I was 13 years old. I didn't know anything. I started learning the language. Do you think I'm stopping now just because I can speak it and read it and write it? No, there's so many more things that I'm still learning about the language. So it's a continuous process, and I'm improving every day because I'm reading every day and I'm, learning every day. I'm using it. I'm practicing it. I took Spanish in high school. I was really good at it. I loved it. And I took another class in college, and I started actually having very small conversation in Spanish, and really had the wish to continue with it, but things that happened in life and I couldn't. And now, guess what? Because I don't use the Spanish anymore. I don't have it anymore. I know some words I could understand if somebody speaks really, really slowly and within the vocabulary that I have learned. But if they speak really fast in conversational, language, I could probably pick up a word, maybe two, but not everything. Why? Because I wasn't consistently learning it, using it, practicing it. So consistency is key here. Embracing the process and letting go of the perfection. Letting go is not that easy, folks, but it's necessary to make room for growth and new opportunities. So ask yourself, what fear am I holding onto that's no longer serving me? Once you identify it, take a deep breath and decide to move forward despite that fear. That's where true resilience is built. Let go and step into confidence. Confidence gets built. You can practice it, but it takes you deciding that you want to work on it. It takes you being consistent with your small steps, your small action, your small practicing. You have to practice every day. You have to learn every day. You have to put everything into practice to actually see it come to life. Overcoming fear is a journey. It's one that requires self-compassion, learning, leading with courage, and letting go. When we embrace these principles, we empower ourselves to step into a life filled with more confidence and less hesitation. And it's a consistent thing, a constant thing. It's not something that you do and you forget about. You have to continue that process. So I challenge you to take one small action today, whether it's speaking up, trying something new, or simply showing yourself a little more compassion in the face of fear. What is one fear you faced recently and how did you overcome it? Share your thoughts and comments. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Next time, we'll be talking about connected peace, how to cultivate peaceful relationships through self compassion, learning, leadership, and healthy boundaries. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for tuning in to Building Resilience. Love, learn, lead, or let go. Until next time, face your fears with confidence and grace. Bye bye.